some troubling news for the U.S. economy. America's national debt has just crossed a record $40 trillion as the federal government continues to borrow money at a staggering rate. And to put that number into perspective, the national debt has more than doubled over the last 10 years, growing more than $20 trillion since President Trump first took office in 2017, despite his promises to cut back on spending. ABC's Olivia Rubin has a story and also what it could mean for your bank account.
Today, Iran responding after President Trump threatened, quote, economic D-Day against the country, saying he would undertake what he says will be the, quote, most crushing economic plan ever taken against any country. Trump not giving concrete details of the plan, but saying any country that, quote, allows its financial institutions, businesses, airports, or government entities to help Iran will also face tremendous economic consequences. But Iran's foreign minister today firing back, saying Trump's announcement is, quote, a diversion from America's own crisis, unprecedented debt, and surging costs. It's a clear reference to a stark milestone back here at home, U.S. national debt hitting a record $40 trillion, which could worsen inflation and drive up the cost for Americans' everyday borrowing, including on credit cards and mortgages. And today, America's biggest retailer, Walmart, reporting strong earnings but slower U.S. sales, citing in part higher fuel prices, forcing consumers to pull back on spending. Oil prices surging since the war with Iran began. Gas Buddy reporting the average price for a gallon of regular gas is now $4.10, up $1.16 since February. And Alex, the group behind that study, Groundwork Collaborative, saying in a statement that the FTC's new move isn't enough, that it shouldn't be up to the consumer to read the fine print, and they're calling for stronger regulation. Alex.
All right, Olivia, thank you. And with the national debt topping $40 trillion, this isn't just a Washington problem. Economic experts say it could impact Main Street and increase pressure on family budgets. So for more on this, the Senior Director of Federal Budget Policy for American Progress, Bobby Kogan, joins me now to talk about why all of this matters. We're talking about kitchen table economics from your kitchen, Bobby. Thank you so much for the time today. But listen, debt hawks have been sounding the alarm on this for years, but Congress hasn't exactly slowed down its spending. So I'm curious, why is this new milestone so significant?
Sure, and thanks so much for having me on, Alex. I guess I would argue that the number itself isn't so significant. I think it's just it's a wake-up call for a lot of folks. The raw level of debt doesn't really matter. What matters is that our debt is high and on track to grow indefinitely. That is something that wasn't true when we started the century, and it's true now due to a series of tax cuts. The higher it gets, the harder it is. The higher it gets, the more impact it has on folks, and the more that we keep cutting more taxes or maybe raising more spending, that's the sort of thing that makes it harder to kind of course correct.
Yeah. Well, and look, we've been hearing a lot about how this might affect Treasury bonds or GDP, but what is the real impact to the average American?
Sure. So economists believe that debt it crowds out private investment. What that means is that it's pushing up interest rates, and it means that it's going to lower productivity, that is going to lower wage gains. So put really concretely, that means that your auto loans are going to be locked in at a higher rate than they otherwise would have been. Your mortgage rates are higher than they otherwise would have been when you lock in a new mortgage. Your credit card interest rates are higher than they otherwise would have been. At the same time, productivity being lower means that, every year about 60% of people are getting raises. The raises that people are getting are going to be smaller than they otherwise would be. So the net effect of all of this is that people have less money and a lot of things in their lives cost more.
Yeah. Well, and, crystal ball here, how much worse could this get?
We are on an unsustainable path, right? Like that, there's no way around that. Things are getting worse and worse and worse. Debt is currently on track to get to near 200% of GDP within 30 years. There's no magic number. The point is just that things that can't go on for forever won't. Either something unravels or we do something about it. And I would really prefer that we do something about it.
And so in doing something about it, from a policy perspective, is it too late to fix this problem? Is this something that's course correctable? You're already shaking your head no. So this is something that's course correctable.
Yeah, so if we hadn't done the Bush and Trump tax cuts, debt would actually be declining as a percent of GDP. Right now, debt would be not only would be only around 50% of GDP instead of 100%. It'd be twice as half as big. It would be on a downward trajectory and definitely instead of upward trajectory. So if we just didn't do those tax cuts, if we undid them, if we found different tax increases of the same amount pushed onto corporations and the richest individuals, that would take care of the problem, right? There are lots and lots of different things that you can do. It's large. We have to cut or we have to cut spending or raise taxes or some combination of the two of about 2.6% of GDP. That means about $10 trillion over the decade. And to put that in perspective, the Trump tax cuts were the tax cut portion of it was about $5 trillion. So you need to undo twice as much as the Trump tax cuts were. But that's doable. It just would take a Congress that wanted to do it. And just to put in perspective, the structural deficits in the Reagan era were the largest that we'd ever seen in history. But it took 15 years to undo it, but they did it. Reagan in his second term, Reagan increased taxes and cut spending in his second term. HW increased taxes and cut spending. And Bill Clinton increased taxes and cut spending. So you can do it.
Be a sustained effort. Okay. Bobby Kogan, hey, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks so much for having me on.